Okay, out you go. Don't park, not even once. Don't do it. Oh, she kind of listened. Kind of. Okay, fair enough. All right, okay, fake media. Oh, we got a cat over here. Come on. So anyway, fake media. I wanted to talk about this because the war on the fake media right now. What is the fake media? I had an interesting slight conversation. I got to watch my conversations too because I know not everybody follows what I follow, and conversations can go awry pretty quickly if you get people that are convinced that the mainstream media is telling them the truth, right? So I just kind of more of just see what other people are going to say before, but I try to lay it to people easily. And I had somebody was saying yesterday that like, oh my God, because we're up here in Canada, right? So like, oh my God, that Donald Trump there, he's like, they don't really want him down there at all because that's all they see on the mainstream media. So they've already. It's not that they're gullible or anything like that. It's just they're not looking into it. And I'm like, well, not necessarily. He did win, whatever. And then somebody else said, a guy said, yeah, but she won the popular vote. I said, yeah, but if you factor in all the illegal votes, oh, no, that's from fake news. And what it is a bunch of kids that, they make money off of ads and stuff like that. And I'm like, And he's on the computer and he goes, oh, see, like I looked at the stock market. Look, the stock market's good today. I'm like, oh. So, I mean, at this point, I'm not going to lay it on him, but I go, you do know that there's propaganda on both sides, though. He goes, oh, yeah, and there was a short, very, very, very short conversation about Trump and stuff like that. And he goes, well, I got family in the States and stuff like that, and the lowdown and giving him the lowdown or whatever. And, okay, fair enough. Now, the fake media, is there fake media? Of course there is. Onion News is fake media. That's, they're satire. They're not even news, they're satire. They make, it's over-the-top, obvious satire. Okay, so should they exist? Should they not exist? Yes, they should exist. Well, some people might just take that as the real news. No, it's like National Enquirer exists. Yes, lady got abducted and then had 64 babies in 3 nights and doesn't show a sign of pregnancy, and all the babies went up to a space alien craft. I'm pretty sure most people are not going to believe those stories. So yes, we know National Enquirer is fake news. We know that. The Men in Black, they come. Yeah, this is our newspaper. Yeah, there you go. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So there is definitely fake news. Is there people out there that lie? Definitely. But that's not the issue. The reason why they're coming up with the fake news thing is this goes back to Danielle Feinstein over there in the States saying that we should be the ones vetting the news, and this is the laws they're proposing now is to. Separate the fake news from the real news. So basically what they want is that if you report on anything, you're going to be shut down or fined because you're not a vetted journalist. So when the government has the reins of power to vet journalists, what could possibly go wrong? Because they do this in China, they do this in Turkey, they do this in Saudi Arabia. I mean, I know how that system works. Well, you're saying unpopular things, therefore you're not a real journalist. But what I wonder is why. And this is, I guess, the one point I could probably make, just to plant the seed, because again, I've been following this. I know if somebody's telling me that they didn't look into both sides of the issue, they're already taking it at face value that the mainstream media is telling them that the reason why Hillary Clinton lost the election is because of the fake news. And you remember Hillary Clinton talking about, the information war we're losing. Well, yeah, of course you're losing because you keep lying. People catch you in the lies. I'm not saying the other side doesn't lie at all, but I'm saying it's easy to spot the lies. Again, there's some fantastic real journalism. Real journalism is on the alternative media. That's why people don't. There's only like a 6% approval rating of media on the mainstream. Because if the mainstream could debunk, and they never give you any proof or anything, but if they could debunk the alternative media, they would be doing it left, right, and center. But they can't. They just give the accusation with no proof, saying, "Oh, well, they're lying." Well, why are they lying? Who, what, where, why, when? That's journalism. Who, what, when, where, why, when, and how. That's journalism 101 right there. That's the first thing you're going to learn if you take a journalistic class. It's probably the first thing the teacher's going to say. Who, what, where, why, when, and how. That's the first thing they're going to say. I know I sat in on a few journalism college course classes there with some friends and stuff like that, even though I wasn't in the course. And I remember the first day I was like, I have time to kill. Oh, go ahead. Like, well, you're coming to me with my class because I don't want to be bored. I said, okay, I'll go. So I went with her to class. And who, what, when, and how. I was like, okay, who Who's on first? What's on second? Yeah. Who's on third? No, who's on first? And it starts. And it starts. But anyway, yeah, that's the basic premise of journalism. And the problem is a lot of people don't realize that. They don't realize that in the States, for example, and if it's in the States, it's pretty much going to be up here because, we catch a lot of news, that they legalize propagandizing under the NDAA. It's legal to propagandize the American populace using mainstream media, meaning they don't have to tell you the truth, they can tell you propaganda. Pravda. You know what I mean? There we go. So when you're looking at it like that, the question you have to ask people is, well, if you believe everything on the internet and all the alternative media is fake, then why would you believe everything on the mainstream media is true? That's simple. Just think about it for yourself. You don't have to explain it to me or whatever. Just think about it. Yeah, my dog is. So why would you think everything they're telling you is true? Because it's the paradigm. People grew up with that media and whatever. But the problem I have is, again, especially when you point into the stock market and stuff like that, I'm like, he probably has no clue of how rigged it actually is. And the guys, I would say he's baby boomer. At earliest, he'd be like very early Gen Xer. So he's probably, he's somewhere in his 50s, I think, that type of thing. So the chances are he's probably not aware. So there's no use arguing with a person like that. And I don't want to argue with people either. But I also, want to point out other things. So I say, yeah, but Trump's, bringing back some jobs. He goes, okay, well, the Ford thing. He says Ford isn't really said they're going to do it yet. I know that remains to be seen. But he's already did Cenk Uygur. I couldn't believe. And you know what, Cenk? Okay, good job. Good job trying to be I think Cenk is probably getting a second conscience or something. He does this from time to time, and then he goes batshit crazy to the left again. Where he's like, okay, Mr. Trump, good job on the that air conditioner, I forget the name of the air conditioner company. He saved 1,000 jobs. This is a done deal. Trump is not even inaugurated yet, and he's already saved 1,000 jobs. But this is a drop in the bucket. You have 94 to 96 million people in the States out of work. But, by official stats, out of 300 million, you're in Depression era levels, right? And the food stamps and all that, you got more than half the country on food stamps and stuff like that. So, again, this stuff is not covered on the mainstream media. So people will the mainstream media hits you right on. But the alternative media, if you look into it, then you never go back to the mainstream media again. I watch both to see who's saying what. And, and it's, for some people, they haven't clued in. I said, okay, well, one thing, because I didn't have time, other people walked in and it broke up the conversation right away, and I wish I would have had time to make those 2 points. And again, very calmly and rationally, because you have to understand, some people are already in that kind of, oh my God, Donald Trump's just so evil, he's so bad, because they believe the propaganda. So at least I asked, I said, you do know that there's propaganda on both sides? So he goes, oh yeah, yes, I know that. So, and then the conversation died there, but it was like, that type of thing. But, to explain the New World Order and if you start bugging out on people like that, you're going to think you're crazy, right? So you have to break it to them, and not to get through to them today, but maybe 6 months from now, 6 weeks from now, 2 days from now, maybe a couple of hours, or maybe a year from now, whatever, where you ask them a question to get them curious, to look into things, saying, such as, if you think everything, don't you find it odd that everything on the alternative media is considered a lie? Because it's not government vetted. So if everything on the alternative media all of a sudden has become a lie, why would you believe the mainstream media? What makes them the authorities on truth? So you really have to follow each story to the end. And like he said, he goes, well, he says, because they're just putting out anything and it's not vetted or whatever. And there is truth to that. There is truth. I get caught on propaganda, regurgitating propaganda that I thought was true too. That's why I love it with the open interaction of, because I always want to be as truthful as possible. People make mistakes. That's fine. The difference is I'll follow on my sword and say when I'm wrong, whatever. But as long as the incident happened and we can confirm the incident happened, usually when I don't know, I'll say take it with a grain of salt, or I don't know for sure, but something to keep an eye on. That's usually what I do. I don't just say this is the and yes, both sides are guilty of doing that, including the alternative media, making mountains out of. Alex Jones is a perfect example. Mountains out of molehills on every issue, but he makes his money scaring the shit out of people. But it doesn't necessarily mean he's wrong. But you could see right now that they are terrified of him Like, oh my God, well, Donald Trump and Alex Jones. Well, is Donald Trump just getting his information from Alex Jones? I doubt it. I mean, I doubt it. But he's probably getting a lot there. And you have to look at the people the guests and stuff like that. That's what I like about Alex Jones is the guests. Because these are the people that work in the system. So they can tell you if they're lying or not, right? You can get a consistency there. Another guy that's really good is Paul Craig Robertson. I like what he said the other night with Greg Hunter. If you wanted to recommend a moderate kind of easy pill to swallow, I would recommend Greg Hunter for most people, just to kind of get them on the path, or STG Report, or X22 Report. These guys, they don't go down the rabbit hole too far, but I would start with Greg Hunter because he doesn't go way down the rabbit hole. He's easy to take in, and he'll lead people to other people. But anyway, Paul Craig Roberts, the same thing. This guy he was the right-hand man of Ronald Reagan. I'm pretty sure he knows what government affairs are about. I can imagine the connections he still has, that type of deal. So you might not agree with him on anything. I wouldn't bother with Alex Jones, Rush Limbaugh, or anybody like that, or Perez, or any of those guys. I wouldn't. They're too far down the rabbit hole. Definitely guys like Steve Quayle or whatever. No, too far down the rabbit hole for most people. If they want to go to those guys after, that's fine. But you want to give them somebody believable. AMTV is not too bad. Up here in Canada, Press for Truth, excellent job. Another one I really like is Mary Greeley. She does a really good job. RT, the problem with RT is that you know that it is Russian propaganda to a great degree, but if you understand what's going on in the world, the Russians are in a unique position where all Putin has to do to make the U.S. look bad is tell the truth, which is kind of bizarre, which might change under Trump, hopefully. And then his bluff will be called, and then either he has to do the right thing, or then Russia will start to look bad amongst its own people, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the world we live in. So, but you can't lay that on people all at once. So you have to point out I would make 2 points as soon as you hear somebody go off on Trump, and say, well, and try to play the middle road here. You got to do a little bit of psychological warfare. Say, well, I'm not really giving Trump an endorsement, but don't you find it odd that even though the guy hasn't taken presidency yet, that the mainstream media is just bashing him left, right, and center? He's not even in power yet, and they're always passing it as if everything he's done has failed. Don't you find that odd? Like, I find that odd, And then they'll be like, because they're progressives usually, they'll be like, oh, maybe. You just got to cast that seed of doubt. That's all you have to do. People should look into that. I don't know if I really trust the mainstream media because they just don't seem to be. They seem to be very biased against them, and they don't really offer a lot of evidence. They just a lot of accusations, but not a lot of evidence. Strange. I wonder why they're doing that. I don't know. Not that I trust Trump, but and you have to do that if you think you can get away with. Because if you go pro-Trump, they're just going to shut down right away. So you have to plant that seed, and that's how you got to be crafty about it. But the big one is, if the only thing I don't get is, okay, and I've seen that story too, where the fake media, I've seen that too, but I got a little seed to plant here. I don't know about this. I have to look into this because I find it odd that we never heard about this alternative media, I guess is what they're calling it. We've never heard. I don't know what it is. I'm part of it, mastermind here. I don't know what it is, but it's like all of a sudden it's a big deal, like out of nowhere, and they're like, I don't even know who they're talking about. They don't even tell you who they're talking about on the mainstream media. It's just this alternative news. But who's this alternative news? And if everything they're saying is a lie, how come everything on the internet is a lie, but what they're saying is truth? How come they're truth? You know what I mean? They usually, do they show us proof? Who, what, where, why, when, and how? You know what I mean? And, you're telling me they always get it right? I don't think so. I would look into that. I would really look into that before I would take anybody's side on this. You can leave it at that. And that I think is the best because that plants the seed. You create the defense of, I'm not really on Donald Trump's side and I'm not anti-Hillary. Obviously, I'm anti-Hillary because I've been following that monster for over a decade now. I don't like this woman very much. Donald Trump, again, we can only judge him on his actions, and that's one thing I did get to say in that short, we're talking less than a 2-minute conversation. So I said, the only thing with Donald Trump, though, because I was sensing that he was anti-Trump to a degree, right? And everybody in Canada, trust me, we have one propaganda machine here, the CBC, which is about to get another $4 billion or something like that. Well, again, if Trudeau wants the CBC to keep saying nice things about him, the economy's failing. We're $30 billion more in deficit from a balanced budget. And so 1 year in, we're already 3/4 of what he proposed to spend to stimulate the economy. Not one full-time job has really been created. maybe, we'll say under 100 jobs, all government jobs to be. Again, I watch part of them, so I know what they're doing. So we're not even fully a year in. Well, I guess we're a year in there now from the last election. We're $30 billion in deficit from a balanced budget, created less than 100 jobs. Now, mind you, this new pipelines are going to create 1,000 jobs, but that's another, okay, but it's still government jobs. We're not going to see the dividends of that for a long time. So yeah, brace for impact in Canada. We're going to hit our 2008 collapse pretty soon. And on top of that, they're going to put another $4 billion into the CBC, who's already losing billions of dollars. Propaganda costs, you know what I mean? That type of thing. So that's, I don't know. And I'm never mad at people when they don't know what I know, because they don't follow that. But you can clearly see, if you can kind of lead them to the alternative media to take in a little bit of sites or something like that, again, find the most moderates, get them towards the issue is the easiest thing. But to get them to take a balanced approach, say, well, look at what the mainstream media is saying, look at what the alternative media is saying, use your own judgment. And hands down, the alternative media, I think some of the journalists, like again, that Dan guy from Press for Truth, Mark from, or Luke from We Are Change. I don't watch these guys every day, but they are very good at what they do. They show you a Colbert Report. I don't watch them all the time, but I mean, they give you a lot of data. They say, okay, well, here's the government data. Here's what they're doing. Here's what they said. The other thing is just listen to the politicians. I mean, Hillary Clinton didn't lose the election because of misogyny and racist and bigot and stuff like that. She lost because she was threatening to go to war. This is not the alternative media putting things out of proportion. She said she is willing to go to war over cyber attacks. Her own words. Her words on Iran, or we're going to invade Iran. Her own words. This woman is a war hawk beyond, and a genocidal maniac beyond belief. People, anybody with a thinking mind out of a progressive mindset, because progressives are social justice warriors. Again, the people that were curled up in a ball on the ground crying because Hillary Clinton lost. It doesn't. Again, Donald Trump was right when he said she could walk into a crowd of 20,000 people, blow a man away, shoot him right in the heart, and still get away with it. And he would be right, because those people are so brainwashed. This is their religious icon. I've already did a video on that, I'm pretty sure, how Hillary Clinton became a religious icon. Did I do that? Yeah, I did that, yeah. Meanwhile, when she loses, this is the same people that are committing suicide now. Like, you can't even make that up. How many? I don't know. Probably only a handful, but you never know. That is the mentality of those people. So those people you can't reach. But the moderates in the middle, and one nice thing about Canada is when people do learn what the issue is, they usually do make the right decision. But it's getting people away from that damn mainstream media. But I say cross-reference. Watch what the mainstream media is saying, because there's, both of them can't, the alternative media and the mainstream media can't both be right. To a degree, maybe there's that possibility. But when they're both saying the exact opposite sides of the coin from each other, somebody's lying. So then you need to do your digging. And the idea, well, we just need the real news because, propaganda, and, people are spinning it for their own whatever. I'm not saying people aren't putting up propaganda for financial reasons. But that's what the mainstream media does, is they take commercials, they take government money, so they're going to put out propaganda. There is conflict of interest there. There's no doubt about that. And again, the only thing is what proof do they ever offer you? Like, again, the other thing you can ask them is, okay, well, who is this? Can you give me an example of some of the sites they're talking about for this fake news? They can't. But if you look who's up there, like Breitbart, Alex Jones, these are the people that they're really scared of. And it's like, okay, well, maybe you should listen to them, because if they're that big, they got to be doing something right. Again, if you bullshit too long, people will catch you in the bullshit. It doesn't matter who you are. Propped up or not. Again with the Trump thing, just put out, just play to their mindset of suspicion. The reason why you're going to do it that way, because if you come with the, oh no, Trump's the good guy, you don't do that, because you'll just shut them down. But go with the, well, I'm not really for Trump, and again, it's not being disingenuous. What you're trying to do is get them to go and look into it for themselves so they can draw a better conclusion. Some are still going to stay on the same side of that fence. And they will defend that side of that fence very, very vocally. There's no doubt about that. But you don't need to engage to that, because anybody who has the sense of truth, reason, it takes a while for them to, I mean, think about how many of you in the audience, and I'm in the same audience, how many times did you have to go back to, like, say, we'll use Alex Jones as an example, to go back to them before you took him seriously? Before you say, okay, well, some of the stuff he says, maybe, yes, he's controlled opposition. There's always that possibility. You know, there's no, you know, you got to take everything with a grain of salt. But how many things have you looked into that he said that, okay, my God, this guy's right quite a bit? I've always said Alex Jones, if he's only right 1% of the time, it's a terrifying 1%. But a lot of times, yes, if you go on the InfoWars, they provide the documents. They might blow some documents out of proportion, but they do provide documents and stuff like that. So, which is what the mainstream media should be doing, but they don't. And the excuse is, and Paul Craig Roberts said this, is like, well, the mainstream media, they don't have the staff to vet the stuff they say on a daily basis, so they just make it up. You know, that type of thing. There's probably a lot of truth to that, but that's not really true either. I mean, look at the staff at we'll use, again, InfoWars. It's not a big staff there, but they've got links to everything. You know what I mean? So how come they can do it? You know what, Alex Jones, what, $7 million a year to run his business? How come he can do that on $7 million and billions of dollars to say, like the CBC, they don't get it right? So it's either they don't get it right or they don't want to get it right. And that type of thing. So you plant the seed by, well, I don't know about this Trump guy because he's not in power yet and they're already saying he's failed. Like, I mean, he's not even in power yet. So I want to look into that. Or just this idea, this whole, you know, this fake media. Who is this fake media and why are they relevant now? You know what I mean? Like, what, you know, they just tell us it's fake media, but they don't show us any proof. You know what I mean? I'd like to see some proof, you know. Who, what, when, why, where, and how. That type of thing. Should look into that. But thanks for bringing it up, though. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, okay, like, play... You got to go a bit Forrest Gump on this one. Well, I was watching the TV with my friend Jenny. We're like two peas in a pod, and then Mr. TV man said, I should believe him, but I don't know if I should believe him, because life ain't like a box of chocolates. You know, you might turn the channel, but you might not know what it's all about or what's inside. I want to see inside that box of chocolates. I don't want to just see the cover of the box of chocolates, because I want to give that box of chocolates to Jenny. And if that box of chocolates is lying to me and I didn't look into it, and I give it the box of chocolates to Jenny, and there's no chocolates in there, well, I tell you, that just wouldn't be good. No way, because I would never see Jenny's boobies. I mean, you know, you got to put it into perspective, right? So that type of thing. So yeah, why would the mainstream media be always telling the truth and the alternative media always be lying? How is that possible? You know, oh, it's just because these guys want money. But who are you talking about, though? You know what I mean? Like, that's the things, and you don't want to get confrontational though. You want them to look into it. So keep it short, keep it sweet, make your point. You have people around you. You get a very limited time to throw your argument out there. And you got to do it in such a covert way that people will look into it. And there's a few people, like, from time to time, they'll ask me things, but I'm like, because it's such a big conversation, I'm like, well, I'll give you the gist of it, but if you go on for more than 5 minutes, you lose people, because they're like, what the hell is this guy talking about? Because you know it all, not know-it-all as I'm a know-it-all, but know all about what you're talking about and where your resources are, but you need to plant the seeds to get them interested to go looking. 90% of people probably won't, but, you know, again, it becomes that repetition thing. You know, you repeat a lie long enough, people just believe it and take it as truth and fact. Well, that's what the Mockingbird mainstream media does, is they just keep propagandizing you to believe whatever you're told, that type of thing. And then again, you know, when you looked at the stock market, I was like, yeah, but you don't know why the stock market's fine today. You know, like, oh, I'm invested in the stock market. Yeah, a whole bunch of people are invested. It doesn't mean they know how it works. I don't know how it all works, but I do know how they're manipulating it. You know, and you just have to, you know, bring out other little points, such as, well, it's funny how they're so hard on Donald Trump, because remember when George Bush, and point this out to them too, like, you know, remember when George Bush, like, ran up the deficit to $4 trillion? They'd be, yeah, that damn George Bush. Yeah, you know, he started all these fake wars all over the place. They'd be like, yeah. And stuff like that. And they cut Obama some slack because he inherited such a shitbag economy from Bush. They'd be like, yeah. And then you'd be like, but Obama has raised it from $4 trillion to $20 trillion, and nobody's cutting Donald Trump any slack whatsoever. And how, with a $20 trillion deficit, can the stock market be going up? They must be printing lots of money. Interesting. Should look into that. And then, you know, like, little things like that, like, make it sound like you're having a conversation with yourself, like you're just discovering this for the first time, and they're just witnessing. So you're kind of like, not talking at them, but you're kind of talking in front of them, and they're observing you and saying, yeah, those are good questions. Yeah. Oh, well, that's because this, and this. If they're going to look a little bit, eventually they're going to look far. So this is why I'm not worried about the people that still think that way, because every time you catch the mainstream media in a lie, it doesn't mean they never tell the truth at all, but they lie by manipulation, they lie by omission, where they just won't tell you the good things. It's funny how nothing Donald Trump has done was right at all since he's taken power. Everything is wrong. Everything he's done is wrong. That sounds a little bit propagandist, if you ask me. I mean, even Obama has gotten some things right. He's gotten some things wrong. He's gotten lots wrong. There's not too much on. And I gave Obama as much fair chance as I could. Justin Trudeau, I gave him as much fair chance as I could. The only thing I agree with him on so far is the fighter competition for a new jet. Which, I mean, it's funny how Justin Trudeau comes out and praises the death of a dictator like Fidel Castro, love him or hate him, and then pilot dies. Which I wonder about that, a CF-18 crashing just as they're proposing, a fighter competition. I'm not saying something happened there, but boy, that's convenient. Kind of like the Fort McMurray fires. Boy, that was convenient for the markets. You know what I mean? Just saying. I'm not saying. Again. You got to be able to prove stuff like that, but it is kind of coincidental with the timing, right? So Justin Trudeau, silent on the pilot. You know what I mean? What a douchebag. I mean, again, the fact that the mainstream media isn't talking about his $30 trillion deficit in 1 year without really creating any jobs, handle him with baby gloves. Oh, but he's going here and look, it's. Oh my God! That's what gets me about uneducated people. And I get it. Not everybody has the time. I spend all day doing this. I spend. I am the guy he was talking about. Which I don't take offense to that, because hey, Missy, coming in. I don't take offense to that because I know that most people don't know what this is about. But all I'll say is this. I'll leave on this. Okay, in the interest of journalistic integrity. Okay, and I consider myself more a geopolitical analyst rather than a journalist, but you could kind of make the argument for both if you wanted. But I would say this, that there's three sides to every story. Your side, their side, and the truth. And somewhere in the middle, people can vary their opinion and come to their conclusion. But you can also go with my grandfather's theory. Leave nothing of what you hear and only half of what you see. So what you can do is say, well, this is what I'm getting out of it because, and I know my site is very bad because I am a one-man show. Unlike the mainstream media, I do have the claimant that I can't vet every other thing. But what do I do with my audience? I tell my audience, take it with a grain of salt. Don't take my word for it. Look into it for yourselves. You've heard many alt-writers, or alt-media, not alt-writers, but alt-media, say that time and time again. Don't take my word for it. Look here, look here, look here, and you'll see what I'm doing. And then somebody might say, yeah, but you didn't factor in this, this, and this. Oh, okay, well then, I get it. And somebody else can say, yeah, but you're both wrong because this is the response to this, this is, oh, okay, so this has been around forever. And whatever, okay, then you're better informed. And it's always going to be going. But the basic thing is, whenever you see two opposing truths, so to speak, somebody's got to be lying. There's got to be a gray area somewhere. You have to look at that one side might be propaganda, the other side might be propaganda. And you have to be able to factor that in there, because I do know that. And a lot of people point that out on my channel. Reg, you do know this is all a puppet show. I said, well, we don't know for sure. With the World War III, we don't know if Obama and Putin are buddies, behind closed doors. We don't know that. I mean, you got pictures of Alexander Dugin standing beside Zbigniew Brzezinski. Considering who Zbigniew Brzezinski is and considering Alexander Dugin, why isn't Alexander Dugin not jamming a knife into his throat? I don't know. This raised this question. Henry Kissinger gives their march, Hillary Clinton. I take my marching orders from the UN and Henry Kissinger. Her exact word. These are her own words. Kissinger meets with Putin. I worry about these things because I don't know if we're just looking at a big show. If we're looking at a big show, well, in the long run, we can plan around it. That type of thing. But until they slip up that you can catch them and say for sure that it is all this or all that, you need the evidence, you need the proof. I get that. Until that, you can only go with the story and think for yourself. What happens after this? Okay, well, what do you think the most likely thing is going to happen cracking down on fake news? Well, censorship. That's the only conclusion you can take. Because if it's not vetted like Dianne Feinstein wants in the States, where they get to decide who the real news is, and fact checkers, stuff like that. Although I think Hillary Clinton, I don't know for sure, but I think I heard that she had to take that down off of her website because people were just, they were just, how come we're taking what you say as a fact? Oh, well, I have a fact checker on my website. Yeah, but where are the facts coming from? You know what I mean? That type of thing. So it kind of blew up in their face, I think. I think I'd give it time. Go back to 2008. A handful of people were talking about the crazy stuff we see. Even with Pizzagate, for example. That one I'm very scary of because there could be a lot of sensationalism. I mean, if it isn't the real thing, we're ruining people's lives. Even though I don't like the Podesta brothers, I really truly believe they are monsters. I think there is enough evidence to warrant a freaking, get in there. But if the Department of Justice is running defense for these people, who is going to be the whistleblowers? It's not going to be coming from the people that should be protecting the system. It's going to be coming from independent journalists, that type of thing. And this is why Breitbart was probably murdered. I mean, didn't his car blow up and whatever? Was it him? But whoever it was there anyway. Why? Because he was probably about to crack open the Podesta pedophile rings, which leads to pretty much everybody in Washington. Possibly even Trump is in on that. You never know. But these type of things, again, we have to look at it. And again, when we look at it, if we see Trump is in on the Pizzagate, which I don't think he is, but you never know. There's just, it seems like he might have used that service at some point. So we want to know what this service is. But there's like Pizzagate. I mean, there's some pretty dark stuff. And again, it's not what you believe, but people are religious. If you're able to grasp the concept of a jihadist, you're able to grasp the concept of a very evil, satanic, like the symbolism, if you know what to look for, it's kind of like you can see it all over the place. The Masonic skull and bones. This seems to be more of a skull and bones thing than Masonic, but you get the idea. Only vetted, we're waiting for the vetted journalists to do this, and the vetted journalists are basically told not to do this because that system is using the vetted journalists to protect them. And just call everybody fake news, disinformation, whatever. How much of it is disinformation? I mean, Pizzagate could be something that's set up to expose the fake news. So, you know what I mean? Like, okay, well, these are the people that are running with it, and then they come out with some smoking gun that, okay, well, the FBI investigated it, they found nothing, and then they found, okay, well, this was made up by this guy, the guy said it was a hoax, and it'll go on like that. And then until you catch people in the act, you really don't know. So that type of thing. So that said, that could be one of those ploys too. And then, look, they wrecked all these poor people's lives, saying that they were these horrible Satanists and pedophiles and everything like that. Meanwhile, they weren't. And you never know. It could be a psyop. That type of thing. You have to catch the people in the act, and that's where good journalism comes in. You have to be able to make a trail there. So you have to look into things. You cannot just take any one word for it. But the thing is you also have to, some flags should come up when people say that, okay, the alternative media is all lies and anything you hear on the internet is just fake news, it's not real. Okay, what proof have they offered that it is? Give us examples, dates, times, who, what, where, why, when, how. You know what I mean? But they don't do that. This is why the alternative media tends to do better, because all the news sites that they are against, the ones that they're really terrified of, do tend to provide a good amount of proof for their arguments. Not all the time, but a lot of the time. Links in the description box, dates, times, who, what, where, why, when, and how. And that's pretty hard and damning to counter. That's why the alternative media is doing so much better than the mainstream media. That's why globalization is failing. Communism always fails no matter what form it takes. You can't centralize power like that. And that's the fight that's on now. But the idea that every mainstream media comes up to the same conclusion at the exact same time, that one of them is providing you in multiple countries, providing you an alternative, saying, well, some of these alternative sites are pretty reputable, that they're pretty good. We looked into it. Hey, we're going to count. They all come into the same conclusion at the exact same time without providing you any proof, and that doesn't ring a bell for you? You know what I mean? Like, that'd be my first clue. It was like, how come when the CBC reports on something, I can switch it to CNN 5 minutes later or vice versa, and almost word for word, and you can see so many videos done, people do this. Conan O'Brien did this a couple years ago, saying that the mainstream media, oh no, it's rigged, and it's a propaganda machine, and it's a mocking machine. And he did this as a joke, but it was so true. He went something like through, I don't know how many channels, 16, 20 different news channels, throughout the country. Almost word for word, every news story was pretty much put out the same. And these were left-right media, center media, all, these were all the mainstream medias, from local news channels to the major big ones. Almost every newscaster, word for word, saying the exact same thing. Now, you could say, okay, well, yeah, of course, we'll use the CBC here for an example. Of course, they're going to. Every reporter is going to be, it's an umbrella corporation. They're all going to be reporting on the same stories for the most part. And then, your local news, you'll have some local stories. Sure, but all the major stories are going to be the same. Yes, okay, understand that. But Fox and CNBC and CNN all talking the same way at the same time, when these are supposed to be opposing news organizations, ideologically, from the left to the right, I find that a bit odd. Again, how do every mainstream media, major mainstream media organization come up to the conclusion, without offering you any proof, that everything on the internet and everything is fake news if it doesn't come from them? And how come you believe them over everybody else? Did you really look into it? These are just the things that, again, I don't care where you fall on, as long as you looked into it. And if you look into it, you're going to end up on our side. Why do you think they want to regulate away the alternative media? They fear it. Why? Because it's better. It's real journalism, for the most part. Is there bad journalists on there? Sure. There's people that propaganda? Sure. Are there people just trying to sensationalize to make money? Sure. There's no doubt about that. But the thing is so is the mainstream media. I mean, these people take in government contracts. They take in government money, billions of dollars. Yeah, you might want to think that they might have a conflict of interest there. Just saying. I'm just saying. So anyway, I thought it was an interesting conversation I had yesterday. But I was like, oh, geez, there's so much I want to just blurt out. But no, keep it simple. Plant the seeds. Don't try to get to the argument of why you should back this guy or back that guy or whatever or not. Don't throw too much to it. Plant the seeds of curiosity. That's the best thing. Who, what, where, why, when, and how. So going back to what I said, somebody has, because like one of the ladies, like I know her very, very, very well and stuff like that. And I don't know, she's not really political. She's just, man, they really don't want Trump down there. I don't know if she likes him or doesn't, whatever. And he said, well, it's because of the this, that. I said, well, I said, yeah, but I said, there's a lot, you can't really trust the news because, there's a lot of propaganda there. I say, he's bringing back jobs, he's doing that type of thing. Again, you can only judge him on his actions. And I said that, and it's true, with Trump, we don't know what you're going to get with Trump until he's inaugurated. You don't know what you're really going to get until you see him in action. But the indicators do look very, very good. He just saved 1,000 jobs. Mind you, that's good optics. It's not really a country saver. 1,000 jobs out of 300 million is not very, very good. He might be a little bit devastating to the Canadian economy to a degree, but not. I don't think as much as people think, because they got to. Trump can't just come after us. He can go after Mexico without too much repercussions, because they can just bring jobs back from Mexico. Mexico, they don't really get anything from Mexico. You know what I mean? But Canada, it's different. We're the two largest trading border nations in the world. Yes. The United States does more trade with China, but we're talking joint at the hip border. We do 75 to 80% trade with them. 9 million Americans rely on Canada for their jobs. He's got to go easy with NAFTA. You know what I mean? If not, he shoots himself in the foot, because if he puts 9 million people out of work, they're not going to care about 1,000 people building air conditioners in the States. You know what I mean? That type of thing. So he's got to be smart about it. I don't think he's as loose a candidate as people think. But again, I've listened to this man for hours. I've listened to Hillary Clinton's for hours. I didn't listen to Jill Stein too much, but I'm getting what she's about now. Again, Steen Steinsenbergs, can't trust him. Sorry, you just can't. I have nothing against Jewish people as a whole, but these Zionist types at the top, you can't trust them. You just can't vote for, like Bernie Sanders, Bolshevik Bernie. You can't vote for him. If you listen to these people, not just the sound bites. That's the other thing. Point out the sound bites. Say, yeah, but most of their demonization is based upon a few sound bites. Did you listen to any of his speeches? Because they did sound pretty good. I listened to hours of them. I'm like, oh, geez. And then the crowds, bring up the crowds. I mean, this is, I brought up the 3 million. I did get to throw in that shot of 3 million illegal voters. That's why he brought up the fake media, because that's what they're spinning right now on the mainstream is, they're accusing, Hillary Clinton, like Donald Trump is saying he won the popular vote. If you do take away, and it's easily proved, that there were 3 million illegals that voted, roughly around 3 million illegals that voted for Hillary Clinton. So you pull that away, Donald Trump wins the popular vote by about 1 million, 2 million people. Never mind the dead people that voted and how many people voted multiple times. I think Trump won by a landslide on both sides. Other proof in the pudding is an indicator of this is the rallies. Not every Donald Trump rally was sold out, but pretty much all of them were sold out to the point where people were just lined up around. We're talking tens of thousands of people coming out to see this man. Hillary Clinton, they had to cancel a few of her, you know what I mean? Like, she just was not popular. I don't think she was anywhere near as popular. Hey, hi and welcome. Alrighty. Well, okay, let's go. Don't park, not even once. Don't do it. Oh, she kind of listened. Kind of. Okay, fair enough. All right, okay, fake media. Oh, we got a cat over here. Come on. All right. So anyway, fake media. I wanted to talk about this because the war on the fake media right now. What is the fake media? I had an interesting thing, slight conversation. I got to watch my conversations too because I know not everybody follows what I follow, and conversations can go awry pretty quickly if you get people that are convinced that the mainstream media is telling them the truth, right? So I just kind of more of just see what other people are going to say before, but I try to relate to people easily. And I had somebody was saying yesterday that like, oh my God, that because we're up here in Canada, right? So. Like, oh my God, that Donald Trump there, he's like, they don't really want him down there at all. Because that's all they see on the mainstream media. So they've already, it's not that they're gullible or anything like that, it's just they're not looking into it. And I'm like, well, not necessarily. He did win, whatever. And then somebody else said, one of the guys said, yeah, but she won the popular vote. I said, yeah, but if you factor in all the illegal votes, he goes, oh, no, that's from fake news. And what it is a bunch of kids that, they make money off of ads and stuff like that. And I'm like, And he's on the computer and he goes, oh, see, like I looked at the stock market. Look, the stock market's good today. And I'm like, oh, So I mean, at this point, I'm not going to lay it on him. But I go, you do know that there's propaganda on both sides, though. He goes, oh yeah. And there was a short, very, very, very short conversation about Trump and stuff like that. And he goes, well, I got family in the States and stuff like that, and the lowdown and giving him the lowdown or whatever. And okay, fair enough. Now. The fake media. Is there fake media? Of course there is. Onion News is fake media. That's, they're satire. They're not even news. They're satire. They make, it's over-the-top, obvious satire. Okay? So, should they exist? Should they not exist? Yes, they should exist. Well, some people might just take that as the real news. Nah. It's like National Enquirer exists. Well, yes. Lady got abducted and then had 64 babies in 3 nights and doesn't show a sign of pregnancy, and all the babies went up to a space alien craft. I'm pretty sure most people are not going to believe those stories. So yes, we know National Enquirer is fake news. We know that. The Men in Black, they come, yeah, this is our newspaper. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Okay, yeah, so there's definitely fake news. Is there people out there that lie? Definitely. But that's not the issue. The reason why they're coming up with the fake news thing is, this goes back to Danielle Feinstein over there in the States saying that we should be the ones vetting the news. And this is the laws they're proposing now, is to separate the fake news from the real news. So basically what they want is that if you report on anything, you're going to be shut down or fined because you're not a vetted journalist. So when the government has the reins of power to vet journalists, what could possibly go wrong? Because they do this in China, they do this in Turkey, they do this in Saudi Arabia. I mean, I know how that system works. Oh, well, you're saying unpopular things, therefore you're not a real journalist. But what I wonder is why, and this is, I guess, the one point I could probably make, just to plant the seed, because again, I've been following this. I know if somebody's telling me that, they didn't look into both sides of the issue. They're already taking it at face value that the mainstream media is telling them that the reason why Hillary Clinton lost the election is because of the fake news. And you remember Hillary Clinton talking about, the information war we're losing. Well, yeah, of course you're losing because you keep lying. People catch you in the lies. I'm not saying the other side doesn't lie at all, but I'm saying it's easy to spot the lies. Again, there's some fantastic real journalism. Real journalism is on the alternative media. That's why people don't. There's only like a 6% approval rating of media on the mainstream. Because if the mainstream could debunk, and they never give you any proof or anything, But if they could debunk the alternative media, they would be doing it left, right, and center, but they can't. They just give the accusation with no proof, saying, oh, well, they're lying. Well, why are they lying? Who, what, where, why, when? That's journalism. Who, what, when, why, who, what, where, why, when, and how. That's journalism 101, right there. That's the first thing you're going to learn if you take a journalistic class. It's probably the first thing the teacher's going to say. Who, what, where, why, when, and how. That's the first thing they're going to say. I know I sat in on a few journalism college course classes there with some friends and stuff like that, even though I wasn't in the course. And I remember the first day I was like, I have time to kill. Go. Just go. Like, will you come to me with my class? Just because I don't want to be bored. I said, okay, I'll go. So I went with her to class. And who, what, when, and how. I was like, okay, who's on first? What's on second? Yeah. Who's on third? No, who's on first? And it starts. But anyway, yeah, that's the basic premise of journalism. And the problem is a lot of people don't realize that. They don't realize that in the States, for example, and if it's in the States, it's pretty much going to be up here because, we catch a lot of news, that they legalize propagandizing under the NDAA. It's legal to propagandize the American populace using mainstream media, meaning they don't have to tell you the truth, they can tell you propaganda. Pravda. You know what I mean? There we go. So when you're looking at it like that, the question you have to ask people is, well, if you believe everything on the internet and all the alternative media is fake, then why would you believe everything on the mainstream media is true? That's simple. Just think about it for yourself. You don't have to explain it.